The message came on an ordinary Tuesday. At first, Dr. Mark Wilson thought the repeating signal was just another equipment malfunction. The Deep Space Listening Array in Nevada had been glitchy all week, picking up random cosmic noise and interpreting it as patterns. But this was different. It pulsed with a mathematical precision that couldn't be natural. "Hey Rob, come look at this," Mark called to his colleague. "I'm getting something weird on band 7. Robert Lee scooted his chair across the monitoring room floor, a half-eaten sandwich still in his hand. "Probably just another pulsar," he mumbled through a mouthful of bread. "No, this is structured. Look at the pattern." The screen showed a series of pulses that repeated exactly every 42 seconds. Within each sequence was a complex arrangement that couldn't possibly be random. The two men stared at the readout, sandwich forgotten. "Run it through the translator," Mark said quietly. The computer worked for several minutes, analyzing the signal against all known mathematical formulas and language structures. When the result appeared, both men fell silent. "It's a message," Robert whispered. "An actual alien message." The translation was rough, but clear enough. Asterisk help requested. Fleet stranded. Life systems failing. Coordinates attached. Humans needed asterisk. Within hours, the facility was swarming with government officials. The president had been notified. The UN Security Council was meeting an emergency session, and the coordinates pointed to the outer edge of our solar system, just beyond Pluto's orbit. General Laura Reeves, head of the newly formed First Contact Division, stood before a hastily assembled team of scientists, engineers, and military personnel. "The message has been confirmed authentic," she announced. "We've detected a large group of objects at the specified coordinates. Satellite imagery shows what appear to be ships, hundreds of them." A murmur ran through the room. "What's most interesting," she continued, "is that they specifically asked for humans. Not governments or countries, humans. And they're asking for help, not making threats." Dr. James Park, an astrophysicist, raised his hand. "Why us? We barely have the technology to reach Mars reliably. If they're advanced enough for interstellar travel, why would they need our help?" "That's what we need to find out," General Reeves replied. "We've sent a response using their communication method. We're waiting to hear back." The answer came 3 hours later. The second message was longer, explaining that the alien fleet had suffered catastrophic damage to their propulsion systems while passing through an unexpected radiation belt. They had limped to the edge of our solar system using emergency power. Their long-range scans had been studying Earth for decades, and they believed humans possessed unique problem-solving abilities their own species lacked. "They've been watching us?" asked Dr. Emily Chen, xenobiologist. "For how long?" "Long enough to learn our languages and study our technology," General Reeves said. "Long enough to decide we're their best hope." The final decision came from a joint meeting of world leaders. Humanity would respond to the call. The experimental ship Horizon, designed for a future Mars mission, but hastily retrofitted for deep space travel, would make the journey with a crew of 12 specialists. Captain John Davis, a veteran astronaut with 3 space station missions under his belt, would command. As he stood looking at the assembled crew, scientists and engineers representing 6 different countries, he felt the weight of humanity's first real contact with alien life. "We leave in 72 hours, he told them. "Pack light, think fast, and remember, for whatever reason, out of all the civilizations they might have encountered, they called for humans. Let's make sure they made the right choice." As the Horizon prepared for launch, Earth held its breath. Humanity's greatest adventure was about to begin. The Horizon broke through the last thin wisps of Earth's atmosphere, its engines burning bright against the darkness of space. Inside the ship, Captain John Davis watched his crew settle into their roles with a mix of pride and concern. They were the first humans to venture this far with the express purpose of meeting aliens. The weight of history pressed on all their shoulders. "Course set for the coordinates provided," announced Lisa Patel, the ship's navigator. At maximum speed, we'll reach them in 11 days. Those 11 days passed in a blur of preparation. The scientists studied the alien messages constantly, trying to learn more about those they would meet. The engineers double-checked every system on the ship. Nobody knew what to expect, but everyone wanted to be ready. On the 10th day, they began to see the alien fleet on their long-range scanners. "My God," whispered Dr. Ben Torres, staring at the screen. "There must be hundreds of them." The alien vessels were massive, each one nearly a mile long, with strange bulbous sections connected by thin bridges. They hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, dark except for occasional flickers of light from what might be windows. "They're dying," said Emily, looking at the energy readings. "Those ships are running on minimal power." As the horizon approached the fleet, a new message arrived. Asterisk welcome. Humans, please dock at indicated vessel. Atmosphere compatible. No weapons needed asterisk. John looked at his crew. "Well, this is it. First contact. Any last words of wisdom?" Dr. Emily Chen smiled nervously. "Try not to sneeze on them." The horizon carefully maneuvered toward the largest ship in the center of the fleet. A section of the hull slid open, revealing a docking bay large enough to accommodate their vessel. With careful precision, Lisa guided the ship inside. Atmosphere reads as oxygen-rich, slightly higher nitrogen content than Earth, but well within safe parameters, reported Michael Wong, the environmental specialist. Temperature is cooler than we're used to, about 15 degrees Celsius. "Suits with light heating elements," John ordered. "Helmets on but visors up unless something goes wrong." The 6-person contact team assembled at the airlock. John, Emily, Ben, Lisa, Michael, and Alex Jones, their communications expert. Each took a deep breath as the door opened to reveal their first view of the interior of an alien vessel. The docking bay was vast and dimly lit with blue-tinted lights. The walls curved organically, unlike the hard angles of human engineering. And waiting for them, standing in a small group about 20 feet away, were the aliens. They were tall, about 7 feet on average, with slender bodies covered in what looked like short, fine gray fur. Their faces had large, dark eyes that seemed to shine with intelligence, small nose slits, and mouths that appeared almost human-like. Each had 4 long fingers on each hand. One stepped forward, raising a hand in what seemed like a greeting. "Hello," it said in perfect English, though the mouth movements didn't quite match the sounds. "I am Kalen, 3rd Navigator of the Reth Fleet. Thank you for coming." Alex stepped forward, hand extended in the human gesture of greeting. "I'm Alex Jones, Communications Specialist from Earth. This is our captain, John Davis." Kalen looked at the offered hand with curiosity, then carefully extended his own. The touch was warm, the skin under the fur surprisingly similar to human skin. "We have studied your customs," Kalen said, "but experiencing them directly is different." "We know the feeling," John replied with a small smile. "Your message said you needed help. We're here to offer whatever assistance we can, though we're not sure why you chose us specifically." Kalen's large eyes blinked slowly. "Because you are human. The universe has many intelligent species, Captain Davis, but few with your particular gifts." He gestured toward the interior of the ship. "Please, come with me. Our prime navigator wishes to explain our situation fully." As they followed Kalen into the alien vessel, the human crew exchanged glances of wonder and apprehension. First contact had been made, and now the real challenge would begin. The human delegation stood in what appeared to be the command center of the alien vessel. Surrounding them were dozens of Reth operators, each stationed at curved control panels that glowed with strange symbols. At the center of the room stood a circular platform where a taller Reth awaited them. "This is Prime Navigator Toril," Kalen explained, bowing slightly to the impressive figure. Toril's fur had silver streaks, suggesting age or rank. "Welcome aboard the Voyager," Toril said. "You have traveled far to help strangers. This speaks well of your species. Captain John nodded respectfully. We're explorers by nature, and neighbors should help each other. Neighbors. Toril repeated the word with something like amusement. Yes, perhaps we are that now. Please, observe. The center of the platform illuminated, projecting a three-dimensional image of the Wraith fleet. Small red points pulsed throughout the ships. Our main propulsion systems have failed beyond repair. Our secondary systems maintain basic life support only. We have 212 vessels carrying over 1 million of our people. We fled our home system when our sun began to destabilize. Dr. Torres stepped closer to the projection. May I see the propulsion technology? The image changed, showing a complex array of interconnected cylinders and spheres. Ven's eyes widened. It's beautiful, he whispered, but unlike anything we've developed. Our drives harness what you might call fold space energy, Toril explained. They create a dimensional pocket that propels the vessel forward, but passing through an unexpected radiation field caused cascade failures in all ships. Chief Engineer Alex Jones circled the projection. With respect, your technology is centuries beyond ours. What could we possibly do that your engineers haven't tried? Callan and Toril exchanged glances. That is precisely why we called for humans, Toril said. Your approach to problems differs fundamentally from ours. What do you mean? Emily asked. The Wraith mind works linearly, methodically. We follow established pathways. When our systems failed, our engineers attempted known repairs using proven methods. When those failed, they tried variations of known solutions. Nothing worked. But you think we might find a solution your people missed? John asked. We have observed your species. You think sideways, Callan said. You make creative leaps. You connect unrelated ideas. You improvise with limited resources in ways that often defy logical prediction. Toril nodded. We need human ingenuity. The humans were led to what the Wraith called the engineering heart, a massive chamber housing the damaged propulsion system. It was enormous, filling a space that could have contained 3 football fields. Teams of Wraith engineers moved carefully through the structure, taking measurements and making adjustments. This is Chief Engineer Malk. Callan introduced an older Wraith with patches of darker fur. He will explain the technical aspects. For hours, the human team listened as Malk detailed the system's components and the nature of the failures. Ben and Alex asked dozens of questions, sometimes interrupting each other in their excitement despite the gravity of the situation. The dimensional crystals are completely fractured, Malk explained, showing them a container of what looked like shattered blue glass. Without them, the field cannot form. Can you manufacture more? Emily asked. These form naturally only in the corona of certain stars. We carried spares, but not enough. Alex held one of the fragments up to the light. What if we could find a way to repair the crystals, or substitute something else? Malk's expression showed clear skepticism. Impossible. The crystal structure cannot be artificially reproduced with our technology. Ben exchanged glances with Alex. Maybe not with your technology, he said, but we might have some ideas you haven't considered. Where I come from, Alex said with a slight smile. We have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When there's no right way to fix something, you find a wrong way that works anyway. Malk looked confused, but Callan made a sound that might have been laughter. This, Callan said to Toril, is exactly why we called for humans. John looked at the massive alien engine, then back at his team. The challenge seemed impossible, but he could already see the gleam of determination in their eyes. Humans had never backed down from an impossible challenge before. They wouldn't start now. A week after their arrival, the human team had established a makeshift workshop aboard the Voyager. Earth had sent additional personnel and equipment after receiving their initial reports. Dr. Torres and Alex Jones led the engineering efforts, working alongside Wraith engineers in an unusual but increasingly effective partnership. What if we realign the frequency modulators to compensate for the crystal fractures? Ben suggested, sketching a diagram on a tablet. Malk, the Reth engineer, shook his head. We tried similar approaches. The energy patterns become unstable. But you tried it with Reth technology, Alex pointed out. What if we combine it with some Earth-based solutions? Their discussion was interrupted when Captain John and Dr. Emily entered the workshop with Callan. The expressions on their faces immediately told the others something was wrong. We have another problem, John announced grimly. Emily discovered it during her analysis of the life support systems. Emily placed her tablet on the worktable, displaying a molecular structure. The Reth require an element called nexum for their air processing systems. It binds with carbon dioxide and converts it back to breathable air. Their supplies are critically low. Can't they just use oxygen like we do? Alex asked. Callan's large eyes blinked slowly. Our biology is different. We require a specific atmospheric mixture. Without nexum, the air becomes toxic to us within days. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. How long do you have? Ben finally asked. At current usage rates, approximately 28 Earth days, Callan replied. John looked around the room. So we now have less than a month to not only fix their propulsion systems, but also find a replacement for an alien element we've never seen before. Where does this nexum normally come from? Emily asked. It forms naturally on our homeworld and several planets in neighboring systems, Callan explained. We had mining operations, but when our sun began to destabilize, we had to evacuate quickly. We brought what supplies we could. Emily studied the molecular structure more closely. It's complex, but not unlike some rare Earth compounds we have. If I could analyze it thoroughly, maybe we could synthesize something similar. With what equipment? Alex asked. We didn't exactly bring a chemical manufacturing plant with us. John straightened his shoulders. Then we'll have to get one. Or rather, ask Earth to build one for us. Within hours, a priority message was sent to Earth explaining the new crisis. The response was immediate. Nations around the world mobilized their scientific communities and industrial resources. The fate of an entire alien civilization now hung in the balance. 3 days later, Emily burst into the engineering workshop, where the others were still wrestling with the propulsion problem. I think I've got something, she exclaimed, her eyes bright with excitement, despite her obvious exhaustion. Look at this. She showed them test results from her makeshift lab. Nexum has a unique molecular structure, but I've identified a compound we can create by combining 3 Earth elements with one of the minerals the Reth use in their shield technology. Callan looked at the data, his posture shifting in what the humans had come to recognize as surprise. This could work, but producing enough for 1 million Reth. That's where Earth comes in, John said. I've just received word that production facilities are being converted worldwide. If your people can provide the shield mineral, Earth will supply the rest. You would do this for us? Callan asked. Redirect your planet's resources for strangers. Alex smiled. That's another human trait. We don't like letting people down when they ask for help. Later that day, a meeting was called with Prime Navigator Toril and other Reth leaders. John explained Earth's plan to manufacture the substitute compound, which Emily had dubbed Neo-Nexum. Production has already begun, John told them. The first batches should reach us within 10 days via our fastest transport ships. And you believe this will work? Toril asked, looking to Emily. The molecular simulation shows 94% efficiency compared to pure Nexum, she replied. It should be more than adequate until you reach your new homeworld. For the first time since their arrival, the humans saw what appeared to be genuine emotion on the Reth faces, something akin to hope. Our scientists said finding a substitute was impossible, Toril said quietly. Yet you found a solution in 3 days. Sometimes, John replied, the best solutions are the ones nobody thought to look for. As the meeting concluded, John caught Callan watching the human team with what might have been admiration. You were right to call us, John said to the alien. Yes, Callan agreed. though I begin to think we underestimated just how remarkable humans truly are. As the engineering teams worked on the propulsion systems and the first shipments of Neo-Nixum arrived from Earth, something unexpected began to happen aboard the Voyager. What had started as a technical mission was evolving into something more meaningful, a cultural exchange. The mess hall had become the unofficial gathering place where off-duty humans and curious Reth would meet. Tonight, Mechanic Dave Wilson sat at a table with 3 Reth, including Callan. "You're telling me you've never played games?" Dave asked, shuffling a deck of cards. "We have educational simulations for young Reth," Callan replied, "but activities with no purpose except enjoyment. No, this concept is unfamiliar." "Well, you're in for a treat," Dave grinned, dealing cards. "This one's called poker. It's about strategy, reading your opponents, and sometimes just plain luck." Nearby, Dr. Emily Chen was showing another group of Reth images of Earth on her tablet. "This is the Grand Canyon," she explained, "a giant crack in the ground carved by a river over millions of years. And your people travel to see this crack?" asked a young Reth named Rill. "Millions of people every year," Emily confirmed. "We find beauty in natural formations." Rill's head tilted slightly. Beauty without function. Another strange concept. The most surprising connection formed between Alex Jones and the Reth communications specialist, Tev. They had been working together to improve the translation systems when Alex mentioned music. "Wait," Tev had said, "you organize sounds for emotional response." Alex had pulled out his personal device and played a classical piece. Ted's reaction was immediate and profound. A visible shudder ran through the alien's slender frame. Now, 2 weeks later, Tev had become Earth music's most devoted fan. The alien had listened to everything from classical to rock to jazz, analyzing and experiencing each genre with increasing enthusiasm. "It creates patterns in my mind," Tev explained to a group of humans and Reth. "Patterns that evoke sensations I cannot name in any language." Captain John watched these exchanges with satisfaction. When Prime Navigator Toril approached him on the observation deck one evening, he was reviewing reports of similar interactions throughout the fleet. "Your people have integrated with mine in ways I did not anticipate," Toril noted. John nodded. "Humans are naturally curious, and it seems the Reth are too, once given permission to explore new ideas." "We were not always so rigid," Toril admitted. "Our history speaks of more creative times. But as our civilization advanced, we prioritized efficiency and logic. Perhaps we lost something valuable in the process." Below them in the vast docking bay, a group of humans was demonstrating Earth dances to bemused Reth observers. Some brave aliens were attempting to mimic the movements, resulting in a scene that had both species laughing, a sound remarkably similar across their biological differences. "Our young ones especially seem drawn to your ways," Toril observed. "Rill has requested permission to study human art forms. And several of our team have been attending Reth meditation sessions," John replied. "We each have something to teach the other." The most profound moment came 3 days later. The human team had arranged a small celebration to mark the successful testing of Emily's Neo-Nixum compound. The air processors were working perfectly with the substitute. During the gathering, Ben Torres brought out a guitar he had requested from the last supply ship. As he began to play a simple melody, the room gradually fell silent. Reth and humans alike turned to listen. When he finished, a Reth engineer named Fen approached him slowly. "This made me remember our home world," Fen said quietly. "The sound of wind in the tall grasses during summer season. I had forgotten that sound until now." Ben offered the guitar. "Would you like to try?" With careful movements, Fen took the instrument. The notes that emerged were hesitant at first, then formed into an alien melody unlike anything the humans had heard, haunting and beautiful. "That's your music, isn't it?" Emily whispered. "From your world." Fen nodded. "A lullaby. For Reth children." As the melody filled the room, Humans and Reth sat together in shared silence. They had come together to solve technical problems, but in the process, they were healing something deeper, the isolation that comes from believing you are alone in the universe. We may be different species, John thought, watching the scene, but tonight, we're just people a long way from home, finding comfort in each other's company. Morning aboard the Voyager began like any other since the humans had arrived. Engineers reported to their stations, scientists continued their research, and the daily coordination meeting started precisely on time. But today felt different. After weeks of trial and error, frustration, and small victories, the tension in the air was almost palpable. "We're close," Ben Torres announced to the assembled team. The modified crystal configuration is holding steady in all simulations. Alex nodded, dark circles under her eyes betraying how little she'd slept. The power coupling design works in theory. It's combining Reth-fold space technology with elements of our nuclear fusion approach. But we've never built anything like this before. Captain John looked around the room at his exhausted team. Beside them sat their Reth counterparts, who, despite their alien features, showed similar signs of fatigue. They had been working around the clock for nearly a month. "We only get one shot at this," John reminded them. "If the test fails—" "It won't fail," interrupted Dave Wilson. The usually quiet mechanic rarely spoke up in meetings, but when he did, everyone listened. "I've triple-checked every connection. The hardware is solid." Malk, the Reth chief engineer, made a gesture of agreement. "Our calculations support this assessment. The theoretical model is sound." Prime Navigator Toril stood at the head of the table. "Then we proceed with the test today, on the smallest vessel in our fleet." The test ship was a Reth scout vessel, approximately the size of a small Earth airplane. It had been moved to a safe distance from the main fleet. If something went wrong, the damage would be contained. The hybrid drive system they had designed looked strange to both human and Reth eyes, a combination of sleek alien technology and the more industrial human engineering. At its heart were the reconstructed dimensional crystals, which Emily had helped repair using a modified version of Earth semiconductor manufacturing techniques. No one would design a system this way if they had other options. Alex commented as they made final adjustments. "It's elegant and ugly at the same time. Like the best human solutions," Ben replied with a tired smile. "Not pretty, but it works." From the safety of the Voyager's control room, both teams watched as the test ship prepared for activation. A small crew of Reth volunteers remained on board, ready to abort if necessary. "Drive system powering up," reported Tev, monitoring the communications. "Energy levels rising. Approaching threshold." On the main screen, they could see the test ship floating against the backdrop of stars. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a faint blue glow began to emanate from its engines. "Field stabilization at 62%, 75%, 89%. Malk called out, his normally calm voice tense with anticipation. "They've reached minimum threshold for fold space activation," Alex said, gripping the edge of her console. The room fell silent. This was the critical moment when all previous tests had failed. The blue glow intensified, surrounding the small ship in a halo of energy. "Field stabilization at 97%. Holding steady," Malk reported. "They're initiating micro-jump." For an instant, the ship seemed to blur, as if viewed through water. Then it vanished completely. "Did it work?" John asked, leaning forward. "Or did it?" "There." Emily pointed to another section of the screen, where the ship had reappeared several thousand kilometers away. The control room erupted in cheers, humans hugging each other and even embracing their Reth colleagues, who seemed startled but not displeased by the emotional display. "They're reporting all systems normal," Tev announced over the celebration. The jump was successful and precisely calculated. "They're returning to base now." Prime Navigator Toril turned to Captain John, extending both hands in the Reth gesture of profound respect. Your people have done what we thought impossible. You have saved our fleet." John took the alien's hands in his own. "It was a true collaboration, Navigator. Neither of us could have done it alone." Later, as the humans and Reth shared a meal to celebrate their success, Emily looked around at the mixed group with amazement. "A month ago, we didn't know aliens existed," she said quietly to John. "Now we're fixing their spaceships with technology neither world had before." John nodded. "That's humanity's special talent. We don't just solve problems, we make friends along the way." As plans began for retrofitting the entire fleet with the new hybrid drives, the impossible had become possible through the unique partnership of two very different species who had found strength in their differences. The observation deck of the Voyager offered a spectacular view as the last Reth ship received its hybrid drive installation. After 2 months of intensive work, the entire fleet was almost ready for departure. Humans and Reth stood side by side, watching the distant flashes of light as engineers completed the final connections. "I never thought I'd see anything like this," Captain John said, standing beside Prime Navigator Toril. "Two civilizations from different stars, working together." "Nor did I," Toril admitted. "Before we met your kind, we believed advanced species would naturally evolve towards similar thought patterns. We were wrong. Your differences from us are precisely what made this partnership valuable." The doors slid open as Emily and Callan joined them on the deck. They had been working together to compile a shared database of scientific knowledge to be exchanged between their peoples. "The final cultural archive is complete," Emily announced. "Over 50,000 entries on everything from Earth biology to Reth history. And the communication relay stations are in place," Callan added. "We will maintain contact even as we travel to our new homeworld." The mood was celebratory, but tinged with sadness. Tomorrow, most of the human team would return to Earth. The Reth fleet would begin its journey to the star system they had selected for colonization, carrying the memories of an unexpected friendship. "We've prepared something for Earth," Toril said, gesturing to Callan, who presented John with a small crystalline device. "This contains technological specifications for clean energy production and medical advancements. A thank you gift for your people's help." John accepted it with surprise. "This is incredibly generous." "It is merely the beginning," Toril replied. "My council has voted unanimously to propose a formal alliance between our civilizations." The humans exchanged startled glances. "An alliance?" John asked. "Even though you'll be light years away." "Distance is less significant than compatibility," Toril explained. "Our journey has shown that humans and Reth complement each other remarkably well. Your creativity balances our precision. Your intuition enhances our logic." Later that evening, a formal ceremony was held in the Voyager's Great Hall. Representatives from Earth attended via video link, including the Secretary-General of the United Nations. "Today marks a historic milestone," the Secretary-General declared. "The first interstellar alliance between Earth and another civilized world. Though the Reth will soon depart our solar system, the bonds we formed will endure across the stars." The ceremony included the exchange of symbolic gifts and the signing of what became known as the Voyager Accords, a commitment to mutual aid, scientific exchange, and peaceful cooperation. As the official proceedings concluded, the gathering transformed into a more relaxed celebration. Dave taught a group of young Reth a simple Earth dance. Ben and Fen performed a duet that blended human and Reth musical traditions. Even the most serious engineers from both species were laughing together over shared jokes about the peculiarities of the hybrid drive design. "Look at them," Emily said to John, watching the mingled groups. "A month ago, they couldn't even understand each other's approach to engineering. Now they're finishing each other's sentences." "That's the real breakthrough," John replied. "Not the technology, but this." He gestured to the room filled with two species in harmony. As the party continued, Toril took John aside for a private moment. "There is something else you should know," the Prime Navigator said. "We have sent messages to other civilizations we've encountered in our travels. We have told them about Earth and its people. What did you tell them? John asked. The truth, that humans are unique in the galaxy, that you solve problems in ways others cannot imagine, that you approach the universe with both intelligence and compassion. Toral's eyes held John's gaze. Word will spread. Others will come seeking Earth's help and friendship. Are we ready for that? John wondered. More ready than you know, Toral assured him. Today, you helped save one species. Tomorrow, perhaps many more. The next morning, as the human crew prepared to board their ship for the return journey to Earth, the entire Wraith fleet activated their lights in a synchronized pattern that sparkled against the darkness of space, a final salute to their human friends. Captain John took one last look at the massive alien vessels that had brought two worlds together. Safe journey, he said softly. Behind him, Earth waited, forever changed by the knowledge that they were not alone, and that their unique human qualities had proven essential to the universe in ways they were only beginning to understand.